The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning. I see a few people are starting to log in. We're going to give it a couple minutes for the stragglers to make it, and then we'll start up. Hello again to those who have joined us, and we'll give it another minute or so, and then we'll start off the program. Thanks for joining. Okay, I'd say based on our number of attendees, we've got most of the people that signed up on board, so let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully you're in the right place. This is the introduction to FieldSeeker with Seiler and Frontier Precision, and I am Gail Shea. My picture's there on the screen, and Seiler has recently started to be a representative for FieldSeeker GIS solution that Frontier Precision is the creator of, and so if you're pretty much anywhere in the Midwest, you can get help with your invasive plant control program with a, as you'll see today, a sleek solution for use on inventory and control and mapping and planning in the field. My background is as a GISP, so I have been doing GIS for a couple decades now, and have worked with Seiler as a local rep for getting Trimble GPS equipment for people in our Wisconsin part of our territory for about 7 years. And we are geo geeks at Seiler and can help with pretty much any of your solutions that may need some mapping or outdoor field solutions. And FieldSeeker itself is an Esri-based product, as the information about the webinar let you know. And I can be your local contact, and our expertise will come from the field for the Frontier Precision team. And with that, I'm going to hand it off over to Linda, who can introduce herself and Chad and get us into the meat of our content for the day.
Thank you, Gail, for the introduction. We really appreciate everyone joining our webinar about our FieldSeeker GIS for invasive plant control software. And we're really excited having Gail and Seiler Geospatial as our sales representative for the software. Again, I'm Linda Glover, the GIS Sales and Services Manager here at Frontier Precision, and Gail and I will be your main sales contacts. My colleague and co-presenter is Chad Montier, and Chad is our Software Solutions Manager. He is Part 107 certified for flying drones and has earned his GISP certificate. Chad and I have worked together for over 20 years providing geospatial products and services for a wide range of applications. Today we're looking forward to showing you more about FieldSeeker. It's been released for about 18 months. However, the basis of the product is not new. We have had GIS-based software for mosquito control applications for the last 15 years. Some of our mosquito control customers who have dual responsibility of mosquito and weed control have been asking for a similar workflow for the weed control side of things. So this new sister product is a result of those requests. I'm going to start the presentation with a few PowerPoint slides giving a high-level overview, and then I'll turn the time over to Chad, who will give a live demonstration of the FieldSeeker software. Then we'll wrap up with a few slides there at the end. Just a note too, we won't be stopping for questions. However, please list your questions in the questions box of the GoToWebinar window. So it's important that it goes into the question box instead of the chat, since the question box will log the question where the chat won't. And then Gail will be contacting you with answers and providing the link of the recorded webinar here in the next day or two. So with that, we'll get started here. So FieldSeeker GIS for invasive plant control is a complete solution for mapping and reporting integrated weed management plan activities. It's designed to be the hub for all important data. Interactive maps explain your data with enhanced detail. Data is easily analyzed, seeing patterns to make predictions and determine next steps. Then you can bring data in from many sources, including spreadsheets, field data from mobile devices, web forms, and drone and other spray systems to work effectively across your organization. And then you can share the information privately with your group or publicly with everyone. So FieldSeeker for invasive plants is a cloud-based system that utilizes the benefits of the Esri Web GIS or ArcGIS Online. And we have the field to office workflows for plant occurrence and assessment, biorelease, and also chemical and mechanical treatments. And then we have ways to assess the treatments. We also have service request management, and you can also log time and materials, and we provide simple billing or invoicing to your constituents or to partners. When you purchase software from us, unlimited technical support is included, and we do have a formalized help desk available, and I have more information on that at the end of the presentation. We are an Esri Gold Partner, and that means that our product development is synchronized with Esri, so as they release new features and enhancements, we can utilize those within FieldSeeker. So this is a diagram of our FieldSeeker for invasive plant control product. Again, the app is based on Esri ArcGIS Online, so it does require that licensing. It comes in two parts. The Office web app is complete with a dashboard landing page with full GIS mapping capabilities. It's used for system and pick list configuration, management of the field data, and has data query and reporting tools. And then we have a cross-platform mobile app that's available to run on iOS, Android, and Windows 10 devices. So the information gets collected in the field and then synchronized with the office. Since it is based on ArcGIS Online, it is a cloud-based system, so it lends itself well to real-time connectivity, but we do support offline editing. And then we can also import data from different systems like your aerial, drone, or truck spray systems, or also integrate to other third-party software. So just a little bit about the features of the software. So again, it's an all-in-one app that has all these different workflows integrated together. And so you just purchase the licensing and you have access to all those workflows. In regards to the chemical or mechanical treatment, you can draw in the point, line, or polygon, or use the GPS to create the point, line, or polygon. And then the software also has this Track Me feature that will use the GPS to track while you perform the treatment. And then again, we can import spray information from different spray systems. And we also have an on-truck inventory that helps track the chemical inventory between the warehouse and the truck or the plane or whatever it is that you're using, but typically the truck or four-wheeler, something like that. And then we also have a chemical product calculator that's on the mobile app to help the field person know that they're applying the proper amount of chemical to the area that's being treated. We also have tools for the aerial, truck, and drone proposed treatment areas. We also have restricted area management. And then we do have standard reporting available, and Chad will show this, but we do kind of have a report library for printed reports, or you can export it out in different formats. And then since it is GIS based, you can use different query and search functions and produce, reports that can be exported out in different formats as well. We also have directions that are available through the phone or tablet navigation app. So FieldSeeker is designed to integrate with those to provide directions to your inspection or treatment sites. You can choose between a variety of Esri base maps, or if you already have Esri maps that you're using yourself, you can use those within FieldSeeker. We do support picture attachments and also metric units if you need that. And then again, on that real-time connectivity with offline editing capabilities. If you don't want to use a cell data plan and have real-time capabilities, you can preload maps and data onto your mobile device, go out and collect your information, and then synchronize it with the office after the fact. And sometimes our customers use a combination of both. Maybe if they have good cell coverage in an area to do some field work, they'll use real-time connectivity for that. But then in their outlying areas where they don't have such good cell coverage, they'll use offline editing for those devices. You can choose which mobile device that you want and use a combination of iOS, Android, or Windows 10. And the mobile app is available through the app stores, so that when we push an update, that's how you get it. It just updates like any other app on your device. And the app also operates the same between device types. Then on the Office app, it is a JavaScript web app. So that means that we won't be installing anything on your computer. You can access it through any device with a web browser and get to that Office app that way. And then we use the other ArcGIS Online platform capabilities to increase functionality and to share data. And since most people are familiar with web apps and mobile apps these days, the workflows will be familiar and easy to train and use. So this is an example of our FieldSeeker dashboard landing page. So through customer input, customers told us, that they'd rather come into the software onto a dashboard and decide what they wanted to do than coming in on the map. But if you do click the map button, then the GIS map's there with all the different data layers. So why did we choose the Esri platform? Well, it is an industry standard, and 94% of all local government agencies already use Esri GIS. So it makes, if you have IT and GIS departments, they're already familiar with the Esri GIS, so it makes it easy for them to understand what we're doing with FieldSeeker and support it, since it is just an Esri app. And also, the Esri GIS is a standard platform, so it automatically evolves as technology evolves. And Esri keeps up with the cloud, enterprise, and maps and app technology. And then that allows us to use our resources to keep up with the invasive plant control apps. But the other big reason is being able to add all this functionality with the other Esri apps. And so examples of the ones that we use the most are operational dashboards. This allows you to get a snapshot of what's going on in your operation on one screen. You know, it presents information that's important to you on one screen. We can also integrate web forms on your public website and then integrate that information back to FieldSeeker. So maybe this could be one way that you could collect service request information. We can also put activity status maps over to your website. Maybe you want to communicate with the public and let them know what your spray schedule is, or maybe you want to put a form there too so they can report where there's weed activity. And then we can also use this story map functionality. It's a good way for you to be able to add web content that you have control over. You can come up with a web page or story map with text, pictures, videos, maps, and then it generates a link for your webmaster to put it out on your website, and then you can edit that information anytime you like. And then if you're collecting other types of field data other than what we're providing for within FieldSeeker, we can also use ArcGIS field maps or Survey 123 to collect that information, and it comes back in part of the data set. If you're using drones, we can use Esri Site Scan or Drone to Map to process that drone data, and then we can import the information into FieldSeeker so you can see it alongside other operational data. And then if you also need to use ArcGIS Pro or Enterprise, we're compatible with those products as well. So with that, I'd like to turn the time over to Chad so he can show you the software firsthand.
Excellent. Thanks for that introduction, Linda and Gail. I'm going to share my screen and make sure that okay. Right, I'm going to give an overview of the Office application and the mobile application and talk about a few specific workflows. And as we go through, kind of try to emphasize the main purposes of our solution here. So this is the Office application, just fieldseeker.com. I'm on /invasive plants. I'm going to log in with my ArcGIS Online account, and that will load up the maps and data that the application needs and bring us into just a dashboard landing page. When that loads up, the first thing we'll see is just a few recent statistics on service requests, plant assessments, chemical treatments, and mechanical treatments, showing things like total treated acres or total scouted acres, and then the status of service requests. These can be expanded and viewed in a larger view. This is sort of hardwired, but we can also just embed an Esri dashboard instead if we want to show more detailed info or something that takes more configuration. The workflows that show down below, some of them are map-based and some of them are not. So map review and map, it's pretty obvious those are map-based. Service requests is also map-based. And there's a maintenance map for adjusting things like zone boundaries. Other things are not map-based, but they tie into specific workflows. One of the things Linda mentioned is that this landing page is a starting off point for people to do whatever work they need to do based on kind of based on their role. So we have 3 roles defined, pretty basic structure there. I'm logged in as an administrator, so I see everything, including the configuration tools and billing, proposed treatment areas, and product inventory. If I log in instead as a supervisor, then I'll see most of those things minus the configuration tab. Oh, that didn't go. I'm going to do as the general user. Sorry about that. It's telling me that that login is valid but doesn't have the right role. So I'll log in as a general user. That's the 3rd role that we have. Administrator, supervisor, and user. And users can only see basically the map-based workflows. So entering service requests, making changes to map data. They can edit and enter data, but they can't make configuration style changes. So supervisor sits in the middle. So sorry, I couldn't effectively demonstrate that, but basically they have also the ability to run reports and view and manage inventory, but they can't make other configuration type changes. Okay, so I'm going to log back in as the administrator user so we have access to everything for the rest of the demo. I'll first go into the map tools and show a few basic things there. And if you already use Esri ArcGIS online or web apps, some of this will look familiar to you. If you don't, that's fine. No experience with ArcGIS or with Esri is really required. But hopefully you'll find the map-based tool set to be fairly intuitive or easy to work with. So it's going to load up the map and all the map layers that are needed for the FieldSeeker invasive plants. And then we have some standard kind of tools and widgets for some basic things like finding addresses or finding sites, changing base maps, doing measurements for distance and area, selecting and exporting features. We also have the ability to print the map and save it as a PDF or some other type so you can send it to someone else. I do want to show the types of layers we have available in the map. And we'll talk about a few of these in some workflow specific examples. But basically, we have layers to track mechanical or chemical treatment as points, lines, or polygons. We can also track plant occurrences as points. Those can be generated by field tracking, field scouting activities, or they can be generated from like the public through a crowdsourced type application. I'll show an example of that a little later. We can also track restricted areas, proposed treatment areas, like where treatment plans may occur, service requests coming in from the public or internally generated, bio-release points, and plant assessment features as point, line, or polygons. I'll show an example of the plant assessment when we get to the mobile app so you can see that. Let's zoom to where we have a little bit of data that we can work with. So I'm going to come to an area around where I'm located, which is currently in Jacksonville, Florida. And so these are some examples of invasive plants data related to perhaps invasive water plants, which is an issue in the Southeast. We'll also show some examples as we get into this of just kind of strict noxious weeds and roadside spraying and things like that. But in this case, you know, if we just wanted to look at the information for any feature, you know, then we just click on it and get the pop-up information, and we can see what was done, or if it was an activity, we can also see any related activities that were done. So one basic thing to mention here, a lot of times people are interested in a solution like this simply for getting all of the data into one place, seeing the common operational picture in the GIS map, and having a common data set that they can run reports on. And it may just be primarily for tracking treatments and maybe service requests. But you can also use as a starting point things like plant assessments or your own scouting activities. All of those related field activities then are tracked as related records. So if you start with a service request from the public, then everything related to that service request you can drill down in here visually or by running reports and see the related data. Or if you start with a plant assessment, then you can record related treatment activities to try to mitigate that problem. All of these features also have the ability to add attachments and which includes pictures or videos, as well as documents like Excel documents or Word documents, PDF files, that sort of thing. Let's show just a couple of simple examples of a couple of these widgets. So for example, the filter widget allows us to set filters on any of the data layers. So we can imagine after collecting data for a number of years, we may have lots and lots of overlapping features on the map from recurring activities that take place in the same geographic area. So we can set filters for any layers. And for example, on service request, if we wanted to only show the service requests that are open, we can set that filter and turn it on, and then the map and the table display for any of the data will adjust accordingly. So now it shows that I just have 6 features in this service request layer. So this is more dramatic when we have thousands maybe of point features for plant occurrences. We can just show a particular species, or we can show a particular date range, that sort of thing. So that's what filter will do. It actually adjusts the display of the data on the map and what shows up in the tables. We also have the query tools, which work similarly, but then it produces an output that we can export and share outside of the system, for example. So if we did the same thing for service requests, where the status is open, and we apply that, then it generates this result of 8 features. We click on the features one by one, and it'll take us to that location on the map where we can view them. But we also have the ability now with this set of results to export to a KML or shapefile, or even a PDF, which is kind of a printed report of the data. So that is one of the things we try to make many places in the app where we can pull data back out for various reasons, because we understand that though your weed control operations may have access to GIS, you may not be sharing that data directly with other partners or contractors by having them log into your system. You may be sharing data with them though. So you can do that through a KML or shapefile or just a printed type file. So query has that ability. You also notice at the bottom that we can create custom queries. So there's a bunch of predefined ones, but you do have access to the entire data set and data model. So you can do something more specific to your own operations, and then these are configurable as well. And what that means is that this list of options that you have to choose from, if something doesn't fit or you need another option, then that can be configured through this option to configure it. So those are just a few simple examples on the map itself. I showed the layers. What I want to show also is that any individual feature, when we select it, so I'll pick this this plant assessment polygon, we have the ability from the pop-up also to export that individual feature out. So if we have an infested area and we want to share that polygon with somebody who is going to fly a drone and map it better, or put it into a spray system to be sprayed, that polygon can be exported and loaded in that way. Okay, I'm going to go back to the dashboard and show a few other things here on the dashboard. So one of the main points of interest is the configurability. So I'm going to go into configuration and show a couple of things here. Anywhere in the system where data entry is done and any sort of drop-down list of items is available, that's something that can be configured by you, and so it doesn't have to be done by us or programmers. So that includes things like the list of technicians, the list of equipment, the list of products and tank mixes and the formulations for those, the list of plant species, bioagents if you do biocontrol, and other general configuration settings. So for example, in the plant species list, we have a plant list here that was imported from the USDA APHIS National Invasive Noxious Weed List. That can be targeted to your own operations in your own state or your own area. Individual entries can be entered manually, or we can import from a text file or using a link. So some of these state lists, or again from USDA APHIS, we can just import those lists into the system that way. I want to show a bit about reports as well. As Linda mentioned, we do have a library of basic report templates. One of the main features is regarding inventory tracking and chemical usage. So for example, if we want a chemical use summary for an entire field season, I'll just put in from January 1st until present time. And this is a demo or testing data set, so there's not a ton of data in it. But that will generate just a formatted report that we can print or save. And all of these reports are exportable as Excel, PDF, or Word. You can do more with them. But this one, for example, just shows here's the product, here's the total applications, total amount of product used, and total acres treated. So these reports, there's also activity reports for the details for mechanical or chemical treatment, plant assessments, time usage, so field tech time and activity reports, and then there's some reports for service requests as well, the statistics in the summary as well as details in the service request log report. We're starting with about a dozen or so templates here, and as our customers are using the system and have suggestions for additional reports, then we add these in just as part of our ongoing software enhancement. But as Linda mentioned in the intro, and as I hope you picked up from some of the tools in the map, there are many ways to get data back out of the system. So you're not reliant only on reports. You can get data also visually and manually through query and filter and through the use of dashboards. However, reports is super important because if you've been using other systems, one of the things that was a reason for the development of this solution is that there's lots of different tools you can use to save or record data, but it ends up being disparate data in different siloed data systems. And then getting that all rolled up into reports at the end of the season can be a lot of manual work. So we want to try to provide one of those basic benefits of GIS data collection, which is it's all in one data set and it can be used in a variety of ways. But one of those very important ways is to be able to get summary or detailed reports at the press of a button instead of doing a lot of manual work. So that's a bit about reports. I want to show something here in this proposed treatment area workflow as well. So proposed treatment area workflow is designed to allow the users in the field or in the office to sketch in areas where there's some kind of planned activity, whether that's a spraying activity or it could be some manual or mechanical intervention, or even if it's just something that needs to be better scouted. Proposed treatment areas show up as a layer on the map, which can be handy for visual reference. But also in this workflow, proposed treatment areas can be reviewed, edited, and then also exported out to different formats for sharing with contractors or partners, perhaps using other systems. So drone treatment systems, truck spray systems, and others which may take data, polygon data, so that can be exported. And this can also be used as a place to enter attached treatments, chemical or mechanical treatments as point lines or polygons. So those data can be entered in a workflow like this. They can also be entered in the field in the mobile app, as we'll see in a little bit. So back on the dashboard, another main point to mention is that product inventory is part of the design of the system. So if we go into the product inventory workflow, we can see any of the inventory that's available on any warehouse or on any vehicle. And so in the warehouse, we have all of the raw ingredients, which are then built into combined into tank mixes. When the treatments are recorded in the field, those tank mixes, when they're used, it decrements the inventory accordingly. So here in the Office app, a supervisor or administrator can see all of the locations as well as review past transactions, record transfers, and make adjustments by doing the reconcile operation. In the mobile application, the field user can see what's available on their own truck, and they can record transfers and also do the reconcile to enter adjustments if the account or weight or volume is off. We do support simple billing. So in the billing module, what we mean by simple billing is any field activity in the form of a chemical or mechanical treatment or biocontrol that is marked as billable when it's entered will show up here as available to be included in an invoice. And then in the history, we can see those simple invoices, and it's basically billing for time and materials. And it just generates the invoice, which can be saved as an Excel file or a PDF. So it's pretty basic. It does not do any advanced kind of accounting or integrate with accounting systems, but we found in our analysis working with potential customers and some customers is that just even a simple module to track billing on different projects or jobs would be helpful. So we started with this, and we'll expand it as people use it and give us feedback. So let's switch over now to the mobile application. That's all I wanted to show for now on the Office app. And again, the reason that there's two different apps, the Office app, you can access from any browser anywhere where you can log in. So it assumes you have an internet connection. And it's the kind of things you would do in the office, which includes, reviewing and editing, entering data on maps and things, but it also includes things like reporting and configuration changes and things like that. When we switch over to the mobile app, its focus, of course, is for phones and tablets in the field. So I did also want to show one example of a way to collect service requests using that crowdsource reporter type of approach that I mentioned a few minutes ago. So before I switch to the mobile application, I want to show that. So this report invasive plants, this is an example of an Esri GeoForm, one of the little application templates that comes with ArcGIS Online. So what this is intended for would be, you could share this on your public website, and members of the public with their phones or tablets when they're out, recreating, using trails, doing whatever, they can record that they've spotted a noxious weed. And so that just requires that they enter the date, their best guess of the plant's common name, their name, and then they can attach pictures and select the location using the GPS on their device. So this is just an example. What shows up on this form would be configurable, so you can show less or show more. But what that ends up coming in as, if we go back to the map here in the Office app, any of those plant occurrence points, that becomes a source for that data. So I'll load the map up here and just show the plant assessment points. So I'll bring up the legend, or plant occurrence points, sorry. So here on the map, we see these yellow triangles, which are service requests coming from the public. We would also see these green plant occurrence points coming in if we had such a tool set up on our website. So maybe we would use that to be able to spot some hot spots where we're detecting some new activity. And a lot of operations do rely on, in some way, shape, or form, those reports from the public to help inform where there might be some problem. So that's how that would be used. And again, that's just an Esri app template that we can incorporate. It dumps data directly into the FieldSeeker system. Okay, so now let's switch over onto the mobile application. So the mobile app, this is running on my Windows 10 laptop here, but it's intended for use on phones and tablets. So it's on the App Store, the Apple App Store, the Play Store, and it's also on the Microsoft Store. So I'm going to log in using ArcGIS Online, same process. I also had the box checked there to remember me, so it didn't prompt me for the login again since I've logged in recently. I pick the zone, and then I pick the vehicle. And so I'm going to pick Florida and Field Truck 1. The zone is just the initial extent of the map. If I activate GPS, it's going to take me to my current location. The truck selection matters for the on-truck inventory. So if I go to the Tools menu here and click on on-truck inventory, then it will show what's currently on my truck. Now on the mobile application, the main purposes here is entry of field data for activities done in the field. So on the map, we can see all the same data we were seeing in the office. We can also see down at the bottom here, I've got this service request manager that shows I have 4 service requests that are assigned to me. So if I click on that, for example, it gives me an interface to work with a list of service requests. On the Open tab, I see all of the service requests that are open and not assigned to any particular person. I can also look at the ones that are assigned to me, or if I'm a supervisor, I can also look at the ones assigned to my crew. And if I have a really long list of service requests, then I have options to filter or sort or group this list so I can prioritize and work through the list. When I click on any one of these service requests, it'll give the details of what the request is about. And then I can respond to that request by putting in field notes, attaching pictures or other files, creating related activities. So these are all the related activities I can record in response to a service request. I will walk through an example with the chemical treatment data entry here in just a minute. We can also move the service request. So sometimes the requests are created just based on a geocode location, which may not be super accurate. So you can update that to use the GPS location, for example. And at the top of the page, there's a little navigation button. So if we were to click the navigation button, then it's going to give us driving directions to that location using the Maps application on the device that we're on. So let me create a related chemical treatment. So if I responded to this service request and checked it out, maybe I would record some kind of scouting information first. Maybe I wouldn't, but if I need to record the treatment, then I can do chemical treatment, point, line, or polygon. So I'm going to do polygon. And we'll get zoomed into an area here, and it will say that we did a treatment on the side of the road. So we can draw that in. We can use GPS to GPS it in. There's also a little live tracking button, which will let us track GPS as we move around. And then we can enter the attributes for this chemical treatment. So the main things that are required are marked with the asterisk, and I'll walk through this just briefly, but any place where you see a list of options, those lists can be edited through configuration on the back end. So let me put in the start and end time. So I'll say that we started this at 11 o'clock. And we're finishing now. We can put in the crew. So if we had multiple people, we can select multiple names. We can put in weather information. The product we select is based on what's in our on-truck product inventory. So I'll pick that roadside mix. And it does some error checking to check that we're not trying to use more product than we have in our inventory, or that we're not using more than we should based on the app rates we might have configured. So if we used, let's say, 7.5 gallons, we can just type that in. There's also a calculator at the bottom where we can check our amounts against application rates or time spent and verify that we're thinking of it correctly before we enter the data. So we'll put in that we use 7.5 gallons and treated half an acre. Treatment method, a list like this is also configurable. And the accuracy type is marked as manual because I drew it in. The equipment used, so if we bill for this activity, we can bill for the product and we can also bill for the equipment used. So if that's the case, we could say we use the truck sprayer as well as some other piece of equipment if we're tracking that. And then ownership and zone get filled in automatically if we have a map that includes an ownership layer, whether that's a layer that shows, private, federal, state, etc., that kind of ownership, or a parcel layer that shows, the actual owner name, that can be automatically entered in the record as well. Whether it's billable or not, so I'll put that it is billable. Our target species is required, so I'll click this, and anytime we enter the plant species, it brings up this plant selector, and we can use this plant selector to search based on common name or scientific name. So if I start typing in a value and search for it, it's not showing up super great here on the, so I just typed in spurge, it finds leafy spurge, click on that and it'll select that. We can do multiple target species as well, so if I was targeting more than one thing, then I could put in more than one value. I'll also put in a habitat type and then record what the app rate was. Let's say I'm treating it like 5 gallons per acre, and I don't know if that's a good value or not. Gross acres would be if we treated, let's say, an 80-acre field, but there was only 1.5 acres of actual invasive plants, then we could put in the gross acres as 80 acres, and up above we have the treatment area for what we actually treated. So any of these fields as well, these attributes, you can include them or not. They don't all have to be there, so it's very flexible that way, and I'm just showing a basic example. So we'll check the box, submit the chemical treatment, and now that becomes part of the permanent record and related to the service request that generated it. Just a couple of other things on the mobile app before we turn it back to Linda to wrap up. Basic tools like measurements. So I'm going to get to where we have some things that we want to measure. If we wanted to measure the length of something, that's easily done. If we want to measure the area of something, that's also easily done. So just basic GIS type tools that can be useful in the field. And that is not showing a value, so that's interesting. But the measurement tools are there. We also have the ability to turn layers on and off in the map and some of those basic GIS type things. And the last thing I wanted to show on the mobile very briefly is this tool called Field Scouting. So if I bring this Field Scouting up, it just gives big buttons for mapping plant occurrence points in a quick way. So as we drive around, walk around through an area and we're scouting that, we can just press the buttons to collect the plant occurrence points. This can be configured to show up to 8 species at a time, and it just shows, in this case, the plant codes. So you can have it show plant codes or just say even the common name. And that provides an easy way to just map in plant occurrence points. Once you're finished with scouting an area, you can use those plant occurrence points to create a plant assessment or treatment area. And one of the options we have when creating those polygon features, I'll just bring up a graphic here because it shows it a little better. This thing called convex hull. So if we do treatment all through an area like this, we drive or move through an area doing treatment, we want to create the treatment polygon like as if there was a rubber band around all of those points. So we can create all the points like that and then create the treatment polygon. So those are just a few things about the mobile app. Again, it is on the app stores even now. If you're interested in working with it, you can reach out and we can provide a testing login so that you can work with some test data. But it is a fully working app that you can interact with. So let's just check my outline here. I think that's all I wanted to cover on the Office and mobile app. So appreciate your attention. I'm going to turn it back to Linda now for a few wrap-up comments. So we'll make you the presenter again, Linda. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. Sure appreciate that that overview. Get my screen showed here. Okay, so as you can see, FieldSeeker is a very robust system. However, it's flexible so that it can accommodate different needs. FieldSeeker can be configured what you need now by turning the features on or off. So if you saw, more things that you think you need, or maybe there's other things you do need, we can talk about that, because we should be able to turn things on and off and accommodate your specific needs. And then, but what the nice thing is, then the system can grow as your needs change. And one thing I wanted to point out too, like Chad mentioned, the data is stored in your ArcGIS Online account. So this means that you have full control and ownership of the system and the data. I just wanted to spend a little time here on the software licensing. So we're dealing with 2 software licenses between the FieldSeeker and the ArcGIS Online licensing. FieldSeeker is purchased by the Office user license and then the mobile user license, and it's a one-time purchase up front, and the first year annual maintenance is also included with the purchase. And then starting the second year, we will bill annual maintenance ongoing. And I'll show what's included though with your annual maintenance, because we've added a lot of value to that. And then as far as the ArcGIS Online is concerned, you need at least 1 creator user type with additional creator and editor user types for each named user using the system. And we can help you figure that out if needed. So if you already have ArcGIS Online licensing, we will be able to use it. If you're still using desktop basic or standard licensing and it's current on Esri maintenance, it'll have 1 ArcGIS Online creator user type entitlement included with it. And then some people also have Esri enterprise license agreements that include Esri or the ArcGIS Online licensing, and we are compatible with enterprise. So as part of the support and maintenance benefits, you do receive unlimited technical support. So that's pretty important, because if you don't have GIS staff, we can help with that. Or if you do have GIS staff, a lot of times they're overwhelmed, and we can support the FieldSeeker portion. So you get unlimited support with same-day response time, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., except holidays. And we do have a formalized ticket system set up, so you have all these different ways to enter a ticket. And then we also provide unlimited remote assistance and web training. We do have a Frontier Learning Lab that has all types of self-help information with user guides and training videos. We can do on-site training at $1,800 a day plus travel expenses. And then you get all the software updates included as part of that annual maintenance. So this will include the new features and any bug fixes that we need to do. So you met Chad and I today, but we do have a dedicated team to implementing and supporting the invasive plant control solution, and we do have a formalized product roadmap and dedicated software development staff. So we are planning to see this product well into the future, like we have our mosquito product. So that kind of wraps it up for today. We'll be leaving the webinar open for a few minutes, so if you have more questions to ask, you can do that through that question window in the GoToWebinar window there. And then Gail will be in touch soon to be following up to see if you want your own private web demo, and we can do this for your group and answer any questions as we go along. We can also provide budget pricing, and like Chad mentioned, we do have a test server set up if you want to try the software firsthand. Again, Gail and I are looking forward to helping you all, and thank you for your time today, and thank you for attending.
Thanks, everyone.